Well, here we are at the former number 3 one-room schoolhouse, town of Wheatfield, New York, on January 10th, 2024. The schoolhouse here and apparent former chicken coop at one point. I mean, there was probably an earlier schoolhouse here and probably some kind of other building before that is on its way out. And we will try to pry out at least that one window right there, maybe just these two, during the demolition process. But we'll see if we can do that. I'm not a contractor, I don't know how to do a lot of that kind of thing, so I would need help. These concrete chunks are from the front, and they just pulled those up. You can tell the interesting mix of material here just to make those in the early in the last century, mid-century maybe, but not quite sure. You can see a sign down there saying Fathers, as in the Palatine Fathers. I couldn't get that sign out, it was just too difficult, there's too much stuff on it. But as you can see, the insides are coming in all the way around, and because of the weather, and the building is just being held up by the ends and by the 4x4s from when Tom Stevenson was working on this building for a brief spell. In the bottom of that stove and furnace area, you get a bricked up part of the bottom of it. You can tell the very nature of this. You can also see the beamwork. Some of these beams were probably part of a much older building and were repurposed in the 1880s for the schoolhouse that you see today. That was constructed at that time. But there had been a schoolhouse here for some decades beforehand, according to the maps, so those beams are probably from the earlier building that was here and taking the same basic form as the new one here we have now. Yeah, they were just pulling up some parts of it already to prep the site. It's the digger. The old electrical and water connections have been removed. They had to come up here to reroute the water mains directly to the area where the newer buildings are back there and fix that connectivity issue before they take this down. That's the building itself here. These steps are not original, of course. These were tacked on in an attempt to give it a new entrance, but they're not really up to code, and so they couldn't have really worked out anyways. The asphalt shingles and the doors you see right here are all related to the church renovation work that they did on this in the mid to late 50s, when the school aspect closed down at that point. So that's all from the church. But originally it would have been basically one door and then a set of two doors on the inside. From there you would have entered into the classroom. And the classroom, of course, is the main bulk of the building you're seeing here. These windows are not stained glass, so we're not really looking at these. Well, that one is anyways, these two are, but we're not really looking at those windows. That's the view from the other side. Yeah. We'll see what we can do yet, but this is pretty much the end of the road. It's 2025. The building's barely survived this long, even as an abandoned building, after an aborted project to bring it back to some kind of use again about 20 years ago fell through. We'll take a little look at what we're talking about here. The green paneling covers over the original wall paneling that's behind it. The ceiling is original though, and you can still make out the ghosts of the lights that used to hang down from that ceiling. If you go in here, you see the linoleum floors, little bathroom thing here. These are all modifications from when it became a church. It was a church for the Shrine of the Infant Jesus, the Palatine Fathers order, and then it became another church for a little while. So since that time, since at least the 1970s or so, 80s, this has been left to its own devices and not doing great, obviously. So some kind of service is about to begin at the newer Shrine Church behind us here. So we got cars and trucks and whatever coming in. This is a reconstruction of the original stage pulpit kind of thing that was here when this was a church. And the assembly would gather here for worship. But before that it was a school. Again, you can see these fixtures here. 1, 2, 3, going further back. These are modified lights. This is another light that was up there. And this is the interior of the addition off the back. Very sad. Honestly, very sad. As town historian, I'm afraid I have come too late to really save this place, as the late Mr. Bissett and the late Mr. Cederman would have wanted, but that is just beyond my power. So I hope you enjoyed this video. As far as at least getting another look at the complex is concerned. And well, here's hoping for the future for some of our other historic buildings that are in trouble. We have a few that should be at least on the National and State Historic Register, of course, here. So that's going to be my main goal going forward. This is Justin Higner, Wheatfield Town Historian, January 10th, 2025.